You hear that ping? That little notification sound that just ruined somebody's whole career? No, sit down, because what I'm about to show you ain't on ESPN, it ain't on TNT, it definitely ain't on that little Disney Plus bundle they keep forcing down your throat like it's medicine for a disease you never had. 3 minutes ago, my phone lit up like Christmas morning, like my bookie just hit a 7-leg parlay, like the universe said, you know what? Let me give this man the content he's been praying for. Aya Wilson went live. Not the PR-approved, management-vetted, sponsor-friendly live. Nah, the raw one. The one where the mascara running, the voice cracking, the agent in the background looking like he just watched a commission check grow wings and fly out the window. And what was she screaming? They stole my slot. Now you're sitting there thinking, what slot? What are you talking about, UNC? I'm trying to eat my cereal. I'm trying to mind my business. I'm trying to pretend the world makes sense. But here's the thing. Behind this woman having a full-scale nuclear meltdown on Instagram, there's a wall of TVs, and every single one of them is playing the same commercial, the same 30-second masterpiece, the same sneaker spot that just rewrote who runs this league. Caitlin Clark. Christmas Day. Prime time. The slot that was supposed to be IAS. The slot that was written in ink on Nike's Q4 calendar. The slot that somebody, somewhere in a corner office in Beaverton, Oregon, looked at and said, you know what? Erase that. New plan. And I'm watching this unfold in real time, live, raw, unfiltered. The kind of chaos that makes you remember why you fell in love with sports in the first place. Because it ain't about the game, it's about the drama. And the drama just delivered in a way corporate sports media will spend the next 48 hours trying to sanitize. But I ain't corporate. I ain't got no sponsors to protect. I ain't got no diversity consultant on speed dial telling me what words I can and cannot use to describe what I just witnessed. So let me ask you something, and I need you to really think about this. Really let it marinate in that head of yours like a good piece of brisket sitting in dry rub overnight. What if the crown was never hers to begin with? What if everything we've been told, everything ESPN force-fed us like propaganda wrapped in highlight packages, everything the talking heads nodded along to like bobbleheads collecting a check, what if it was all manufactured consent for a throne that was built on analytics, not authenticity? Because I got the receipts. Not the ones they want you to see. The real ones. The ones that explain why your favorite league is about to eat itself alive over a sneaker deal, a commercial slot, an ego the size of the Sphere in Vegas. Keep watching, because the contract receipts are about to drop. Let me take you back, way back to when the story made sense, back to when the script was written and everybody knew their lines. Aya Wilson, 2-time MVP, 2-time champion. The woman Candace Parker pulled aside at the 2022 All-Star Game and whispered, "You're the face now." The woman Nike sat down with in 2023 in a room that probably cost more to book than your annual salary and said, "We're building a shoe around you. We're building a campaign around you. We're building a legacy around you." And I saw the whiteboard. Don't ask me how I saw the whiteboard, but I saw the whiteboard. And you know what was written on it in big black letters? Aya Q424 launch. Underlined, highlighted, surrounded by little swooshes, like it was scripture from the Nike Bible. This woman was the chosen one, the anointed heir, the Jordan of the WNBA. If you listen to the people who get paid to say things like Jordan of the WNBA without laughing at themselves, she had the trophies to prove it. She had the rings to prove it. She had the endorsements, the magazine covers, the first-name-only recognition that separates stars from superstars from whatever you call that top tier where LeBron and Serena and Tiger live rent-free. I was supposed to be there. And honestly, on paper, she deserved to be there. Don't get it twisted. I ain't one of these haters who acts like the woman can't ball. Because she can ball. She can ball with the best of them. She's a walking double-double factory with a mid-range game smoother than butter on a hot biscuit. But here's what nobody wants to talk about. Here's what ESPN will never break down between their 17 segments about college football realignment and their 37 updates about whatever Aaron Rodgers is doing with his chakras this week. While Iowa was collecting hardware, while she was giving those acceptance speeches, while she was posing for those photos with the trophy and the confetti and the smile that said, "This was always the plan," there was another story happening, a quieter story. A story about a kid from Iowa who didn't give press conferences about her destiny, who didn't have sneaker companies fighting over her future, who just showed up every single night and did something nobody thought was possible. She made people watch, not just basketball fans, not just women's sports fans. People, regular, everyday, never thought about the WNBA in my life people. Your uncle who only watches NFL and UFC. Your co-worker who thinks soccer is boring. Your cousin who hasn't cared about basketball since Kobe retired. They were watching. They were tuning into Iowa games like it was appointment television, like missing a Caitlin Clark game was going to get you kicked out of group chat, like suddenly watching women's basketball was a thing that made you interesting at parties. And while Iowa was polishing trophies, Caitlin was building something you can't buy, something you can't manufacture, something Nike's entire marketing department couldn't create in a laboratory if you gave them $1 billion and a time machine. She was building genuine, organic, grassroots momentum, the kind that shows up in the ratings before anybody asks it to, the kind that moves merch before the campaign launches, the kind that makes TV executives look at each other and say, "We need to figure out how to bottle this." But Aya didn't see it coming. Her team didn't see it coming. And by the time they realized the ground was shifting, by the time they looked up from the trophy case and checked the actual numbers, the streaming numbers, the social numbers, the revenue share projections that actually matter, it was too late. Nike's calendar had already flipped to a new name. Now let me break down what happened in that Beaverton boardroom, because this is where the story gets spicy. This is where betrayal becomes corporate. This is where you realize that loyalty in the sneaker game is worth less than a coupon code at Foot Locker. I got my hands on the 2024 media plan, the actual document, the one with the timelines, the concepts, the budget allocations, the little checkboxes that determine who gets the spotlight and who gets forgotten. And here's what it said. Aya Wilson, from Somewhere Campaign, greenlit, approved, ready to roll. The concept? Celebrate where champions come from. Highlight the journey. Make it aspirational but accessible. Throw in some hometown imagery, some family montages, some "I'm just a girl from Vegas who made it" energy. Nice. Solid. Completely and utterly forgettable. But here's the kicker. Here's the part that made me spit out my coffee when I read it. Here's the part that explains why Aya is currently having a meltdown on Instagram, while Nike PR is scrambling like their building is on fire. Below the From Somewhere campaign, in smaller font. In that section of the document where they put the backup plans and the bureau options and the maybe next year ideas, there was another entry. Caitlin Clark, From Anywhere campaign, penciled in, not approved, not greenlit, just sitting there like a backup quarterback, waiting for the starter to get hurt. And for a while, that's exactly what happened. I got the meetings. I got the focus groups. I got the storyboard presentations and the director consultations and the whole red carpet treatment that comes with being the presumed future of your league. But then something happened. The ratings came in. The actual ratings. Not the ones they massage for press releases. Not the ones they cherry-pick to make their presentations look good, but the raw, unfiltered, this is what actually happened numbers. And those numbers said something Nike couldn't ignore. Caitlin Clark's games were drawing more viewers than IAS' entire playoff run. Her highlight clips were getting more engagement than IAS championship celebration. Her name was generating more search traffic, more social mentions, more of every single metric that actually matters when you're trying to sell a $100 sneaker to a marketplace that already has 1,000 options. So what did Nike do? They erased the whiteboard. They moved the Christmas Day slot, the slot that was IAS, the slot that was written in that calendar like it was constitutional law. And they gave it to Caitlin. Same budget, same week, same swoosh on the side, but two completely different galaxies. IAS from somewhere commercial, generic hype, stock footage energy. The kind of commercial you forget existed 3 seconds after it ends. Caitlin from anywhere commercial, cinematic, neighborhood takeover. Kids on playgrounds, pickup games on concrete, that slow-motion crossover that makes you want to buy the shoes just to feel like you could do it too. Two athletes, two commercials, one clear winner. And the queen of clapbacks was about to hit go live. Understand something about what we're witnessing, because this ain't just a business dispute. This ain't just a scheduling conflict. This is what happens when ego meets reality and reality doesn't blink. Aya goes live. Not scheduled. Not planned. Her manager is standing there with his phone out, probably texting Nike PR, probably texting her agent, probably texting anyone who can stop this train before it derails completely. But she ain't listening. She's got the camera right here, right in her face, and she's talking. No! She's screaming at every single person watching. That storyline was mine. That's what she said. Not, that opportunity was mine. Not, that slot was mine. The storyline, like she owned it, like she was entitled to it, like Nike owed her the narrative itself. Not just a commercial, but the entire story of what the WNBA is supposed to be about. And the comments are flooding in faster than she can read them. Snake emojis, crown emojis with X's through them. Entitlement is crazy, somebody typed. She really said storyline like she wrote the script. Somebody else added, and it gets worse, because IAS not stopping. She's not reading the room. She's not seeing the tide turn. She's doubling down like a gambler at a blackjack table who's already lost a mortgage and is now betting the car. Her manager moves into frame, tries to end the stream, tries to give her an exit ramp, tries to save whatever's left of the situation before it becomes a career-defining mistake. And what does Aya do? She pushes the camera away. Not gently, not professionally. She physically pushes it like she's clearing space in the post, like this is a fourth quarter and she needs room to work. And that moment, that split second of physical rejection captured live in front of however many thousand people are watching, that's the moment the story changed. That's when she stopped being the wrong veteran and started being something else. Something the internet loves to tear apart. The entitled star. The diva who couldn't handle competition. The queen who thought the throne was permanent. Nike's PR team is probably watching this from some war room in Oregon. Probably got their lawyers on speed dial. Probably got crisis consultants pulling up slide decks about reputation management and damage control. But there's nothing they can do. It's live. It's out there. It's being screen recorded by 1,000 accounts that are about to turn this meltdown into the most viral content of the year. And just when you think it can't spiral further, just when you think she's hit rock bottom and the only direction is up, the sales counter drops. Now, the internet's doing what the internet does, which is split into two armed camps and start firing takes at each other like it's digital warfare. You got your cable shows lighting up. You got your split screens going. You got every talking head who can spell WNBA suddenly having a very passionate opinion about something they barely mentioned 6 months ago. The Aya supporters are out here crying foul. Racial bias. That's the play. That's the card they're throwing down like it's a royal flush. You're going to tell me the black woman who's won everything, who's dominated this league, who's been the face for years, suddenly gets replaced by the white girl from Iowa? And we're supposed to pretend that's just about ratings? And look, I ain't saying that conversation isn't worth having. I ain't saying there isn't history there. I ain't saying we should pretend like America doesn't America sometimes. But here's what I'm also not going to do. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the numbers don't matter. I'm not going to act like Nike is a charity that exists to make people feel represented instead of selling sneakers. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by suggesting that a publicly traded corporation made a multi-million-dollar decision based on anything other than the projected return on investment. This is capitalism. This ain't a social justice symposium. This is spreadsheets and focus groups and risk assessment. And somewhere in that cold, calculating process, the number said Caitlin Clark moves more product. Period. You can be mad about it. You can tweet about it. You can make 100 TikToks about how unfair it all is. But the numbers don't care about your feelings. Meanwhile, the Clark fans are posting side-by-side commercial comparisons. Look at the creativity in this versus the template garbage in that. Look at the engagement metrics. Look at who's actually putting people in seats. And here's where it gets tense. Here's where the divide becomes a chasm. Aya tweets, not an apology, not a clarification, not anything her PR team would have approved if they had any control left. She tweets, privilege is real. Two words that set the whole thing on fire. Because now it's not about commercials. It's not about Christmas Day slots. It's not about Nike's media plan. Now it's about identity politics, about who gets to succeed and why. About every conversation America's been too scared to have honestly since the beginning of time. And what does Caitlin do? What does the person in the center of this hurricane, the person who could fan these flames into an inferno with a single sentence, do? She posts a prayer hands emoji. That's it. Folded hands. No caption. No explanation. Just quiet composure while the world burns around her. And that contrast, the screaming versus the silence, the meltdown versus the meditation, that contrast did more damage to Aya's brand than 1,000 negative articles could have done. Then the shoe numbers drop. Aya's signature sneaker, the one Nike invested 7 figures into developing, marketing, distributing. Resale value down 45%. 45%. StockX showing returns you'd be embarrassed to show your broker. Meanwhile, the CC1, Caitlin's first signature shoe, the one that wasn't even supposed to be the lead product until the calendar got rewritten, waitlist hits 250,000. 250,000 people willing to wait, willing to pay, willing to buy something they haven't even seen in person yet. This wasn't about sneakers anymore. This was about survival. Survival of a narrative. Survival of a brand. Survival of the idea that you can win championships and lose the culture war at the same exact time. And every volcano has a crater, and the calm was about to erupt. Now let me tell you about the moment I knew this whole thing was over. The moment I sat back in my chair and said, game, set, match, wrap it up, we're done here. Caitlin drops a clip. No announcement. No press release. No coordinated media rollout with 6 different platforms and a hashtag strategy. Just a video. 90 seconds. Posted to X at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, like it was nothing. Like she didn't just drop a nuclear bomb on the entire conversation. And here's what makes this genius. Here's what makes this the kind of marketing masterclass that business schools are going to study for the next 20 years. The clip is silent. No music. No voiceover. No inspirational quote about believing in yourself and chasing your dreams and all that motivational poster garbage. Just footage. Slow motion. Caitlin's hands, holding a CC1 prototype, the kind nobody outside Nike's inner circle has ever seen. And then, I need you to visualize this. I need you to picture this like you're watching in real time. She cuts it open, right there on camera. Takes some kind of precision knife and slices through the midsole like she's performing surgery. And the camera zooms in. Fulcrum zoom. Tight on this cushioning system that looks like nothing you've ever seen in a basketball shoe. Like Nike took their entire R&D budget and said, figure out how to make clouds feel jealous. But that's not even the part that broke the internet. In the background, slightly out of focus, just visible enough that you know it's intentional, there's 2 people watching. Travis Kelce, Travis Scott, just standing there, just witnessing, just casually endorsing this moment with their presence, like they're co-signing a check for $1 billion. And still no caption, no explanation. No, look at my famous friends. Energy. Just a clip, just a product. Just the undeniable fact that this woman understands the assignment in a way her competition clearly doesn't. The internet explodes. Not metaphorically. Literally. Hashtag from anywhere trends #1 worldwide within 45 minutes. Sports accounts are reposting. Fashion accounts are reposting. Accounts that have never mentioned basketball in their existence are reposting. Nike board member, I'm not going to say which one, but somebody whose opinion actually matters at that company, retweets with a fire emoji. Just a fire emoji. Like even the people who run the empire can't find words for what they're watching. And you know what's happening to ISIG Live views during all this? Flatline. Nobody cares anymore. The algorithm moved on. The attention economy found something better to consume. Meanwhile, somebody, and I don't know if this was leaked or staged or captured by a teammate who knew exactly what they were doing, somebody films Aya watching Caitlin's clip in the locker room on her phone, and you can see it happen. You can see the exact moment the reality hits. Her face drops. The expression changes from, I'm still in this, to, oh no, in like half a second. And then, this is the part that's going to haunt her forever. Her phone slips. She fumbles it. Like even her hands knew the game was over before her brain could process it. No words, just receipts. That's the game now. That's how you win in 2024. You don't argue. You don't defend. You don't waste time explaining yourself to people who already decided they don't like you. You just show up. You let the product speak. You let the moment breathe. And if you've actually done the work, if you've actually built something worth watching, the audience will figure out on their own. Caitlin didn't write a press release defending her right to the Christmas Day slot. She didn't do a podcast tour explaining why she deserved the spotlight. She didn't go on First Take and debate Stephen A. about who's really the face of the league. She posted 90 seconds of silence and let the world draw its own conclusions. And those conclusions were unanimous. This wasn't a debate anymore. This was a coronation. And the old queen just watched it happen from a locker room, alone, holding a phone she couldn't even keep in her hands. Now let me take you through the fallout, because the carnage ain't over. The bodies ain't even cold yet. And the internet is doing what the internet does when blood is in the water. The memes are hitting different. Somebody, I don't know who, but they deserve a Pulitzer. Somebody photoshopped IS signature shoe onto a clearance rack at Ross. Not Foot Locker. Not Finish Line. Ross. With the yellow markdown sticker and the security tag and the general energy of, we're just trying to move this inventory before the fiscal year ends. That image got 2 million views in 4 hours. 2 million people laughing at what was supposed to be a legacy product. 2 million people treating somebody's dream like it was a punchline. And I'm not saying that's fair. I'm saying that's reality. Then LeBron gets involved. The king himself. Posts the fire emoji, fire, under Caitlin's clip like he's personally endorsing the changing of the guard. Now think about what that means. Think about the implications. LeBron James, the most powerful voice in basketball, maybe the most powerful voice in sports, a Nike athlete since before some of you were born. He's publicly co-signing the moment that ended another Nike athlete's cultural relevance. That's not an accident. That's a message. And everybody receiving it understood exactly what it meant. ESPN, the worldwide leader in whatever Disney tells them to talk about, had to pivot, had to abandon whatever segment they had planned about quarterback controversies and dedicate 20 minutes to this story. 20 minutes of uncomfortable panel discussions where everybody's tiptoeing around the obvious conclusions because nobody wants to be the one who says it out loud. Both athletes are incredibly talented. There's room for everybody. We shouldn't pit women against each other. Meanwhile, the ratings for that segment were higher than anything they'd done all week because America loves a villain story. Because America loves watching somebody fall. Because even the people who claim to be above it all were refreshing their feeds every 30 seconds to see what happened next. The WNBA players started tweeting. Not words. Emojis. Zipper mouth face. The zipper mouth face. Like they knew they couldn't publicly take sides. Couldn't risk the league politics. Couldn't say what they were actually thinking, but they could post that one little image that says, "I'm watching this disaster and choosing to remain silent," which is its own kind of statement. Then Nike made the move everybody knew was coming, but nobody wanted to say out loud. They quietly, and I mean quietly, like they did at 2 a.m. on a Friday hoping nobody would notice, moved IAS remaining shoe stock to the outlet channel, not the premium stores, not the flagship locations, not the spots where you go to buy the hot releases, the outlets where things go to die, where the products that didn't move fast enough get one last chance to find a home before they become landfill material. Meanwhile, Foot Locker employees are literally camping outside their stores waiting for the CC1 shipment. Not customers, employees. The people who work there know that when those boxes arrive, they're not going to last more than 30 minutes on the floor. They want their pairs secured before they even clock in. That's the gap now. That's the distance between where these two athletes stand in the marketplace. One of them is getting outlet channeled, while the other is getting camped for. One of them is watching her brand become a clearance rack meme, while the other is watching her brand become the most anticipated sneaker launch of the decade. And the biggest tremor? Nike's earnings call hasn't even started. Imagine being in that boardroom. Imagine being the executive who has to explain to shareholders why they greenlit a campaign that's now being clowned across every social platform. Imagine trying to spin IAS numbers when comparison is sitting right there. Impossible to ignore, impossible to explain away. The campaign delivered strong brand awareness. Strong brand awareness? The only thing people are aware of is that you backed the wrong horse. All right, let me take you somewhere different now. Let me give you something you can actually use besides ammunition for your next barbershop debate. I'm standing here, sunrise behind me, city waking up below, and I'm holding one of these CC1s in my hand, the shoe that just rewrote what success looks like in women's sports, and I'm thinking about what this whole thing actually means. Because it'd be so easy to turn this into a celebration of somebody's failure, to dance on the grave of Io Wilson's brand, like it's a victory for everybody who ever felt overlooked or underestimated. But that ain't the lesson. That ain't what you should take away from this. This wasn't a cancellation. This was a correction. See, somewhere along the way, we started believing that credentials equal momentum, that championships automatically translate to cultural relevance, that if you win enough trophies, the audience owes you their attention. But that ain't how this works. That's never been how this works. The audience doesn't owe you anything. They don't owe you their time, their money, their engagement. They give it to whoever earns it, whoever captures their imagination, whoever makes them feel something besides obligation. And here's where Aya got it wrong, where so many athletes and creators and brands get it wrong. She confused the crown with the coronation. She thought that because she'd been told she was the face of the league, she'd be the face of the league forever. She thought the throne was hers because somebody said it was, not because she kept rebuilding it every single day. But thrones don't work like that. Audiences don't work like that. Culture doesn't work like that. The moment you stop earning it is the moment somebody else starts. And Caitlyn? Caitlyn never acted like anything was promised, never walked around like the spotlight was her birthright, just showed up every single night and did things that made people want to watch. Not because they were supposed to, not because it was the right thing to do, because she made basketball feel fun again. She made it feel like anything could happen. She made people who never cared about the WNBA care about the WNBA. And she did it by being undeniable, not by being entitled. There's a quote, and I don't even know if she actually said this or somebody made it up for a graphic, but it captures everything. There's a quote floating around attributed to Caitlyn. I just wanted kids to believe any court is their runway. Any court, not just the arenas, not just the nationally televised games. Any court, the park down the street, the cracked concrete behind the rec center, the driveway where you pretend to hit game winners after everybody else goes inside. That's the difference between from somewhere and from anywhere. From somewhere says your origin story is what makes you special. From Anywhere says every kid watching has the same chance you did. One limits the dream. One expands it. And when you give people expansion, when you make them feel included instead of impressed, they follow you forever. So what's the lesson? Build. Don't bash. If Aya had spent the last 2 years building something new instead of defending something old, maybe we're not having this conversation. If she looked at Caitlin's rise and said, this is good for all of us. This brings more eyes, more money, more opportunity, instead of seeing it as a threat to her personal kingdom, maybe the story's different. But she didn't. She protected her territory instead of expanding her impact. And that's how you lose a culture war while winning championships. I'm putting this shoe down on this ledge, skyline behind it, sun coming up over all of it. This is just a sneaker. It's foam and leather and laces. But what it represents, what it proved, that authenticity beats entitlement every single time. That momentum is more valuable than monuments. That the crown goes to whoever's still building when everybody else is resting on what they already built. Remember that the next time you're tempted to coast. Remember that the next time you think you've made it, you haven't made it. None of us have made it. We're all still building. All right, let me bring this home. We just went through the IG Live meltdown, the leaked media plans, the commercial flip-flop, the Travis cameo flex, the outlet channel humiliation, the LeBron cosign, the meme storm, and a whole cultural earthquake that just rewrote who runs women's sports. You now have more ammunition than every talking head on ESPN combined. You got the numbers they won't quote. You got the context they won't provide. You got the reality they're too scared to speak. So let me ask you one question before I go. Team from anywhere or team from somewhere? You can stay loyal to the past. You can defend the establishment. You can pretend like trophies should guarantee relevance forever. Or you can recognize what actually happened here. Drop a basketball in the comments if you understand that the game moved forward and the smart ones move with it. Drop a litter and bin sign if you still think I deserve that slot regardless of what the metrics said. I want to see where y'all stand. I want to see if this audience gets it. And hey, smash that like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell because the algorithm hates you, and it's the only way you'll see when I drop. Next week? Oh, next week is going to be insane. I got my hands on something. The buried clause in Nike's athlete contracts that could ban future tantrums forever. The thing that says if you melt down publicly, if you embarrass a brand on social media, if you do anything close to what I just did, they don't just pull your campaign. They pull your shoe off the shelves, out of production, completely erased like it never existed. And there's a specific athlete, I'm not going to say who yet, but you're probably already guessing, who triggered that clause and doesn't even know it yet. That video drops Friday. You don't want to miss it. Peace, I'm out.